was going for Dr. Doreen Abetnasi, or no any resource person for the day. Now you're going in your brain into. Dr. Doreen, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I feel better 30 minutes ago. But then you are here now. So basically, let's go straight. What is the difference between sickle cell anemia and sickle cell disease?
Okay, so for sickle cell disease, it is when so sickle cell in general is a genetic disorder. So a genetic disorder that has to do with the hemoglobin, which is the oxygen carrying components of our red blood cells. So for someone who has sickle cell disease, it means that the person has both SS. That is, so the mutation could be that someone has only one S. So when someone is AS, that is when we say someone has the trait. The person has only one S. So usually the disease is from both parents. So you need to get, let's say, the S from your father, then another S from your mother. So it is a disease, sickle cell disease, when you have both S from either parent. So when you are strictly SS. But then if it is called sickle cell anemia, when it's the group of disorders. So for people who are AS, SC, all those other variants, in general, is grouped as the sickle cell anemia.
Take us through the signs and symptoms. Or even before we get there, I need you to reiterate the SS, AS, and all of that, and who can marry who. That's very important. There's a lot of confusion there. And then you come to what are the signs? Obi will be I know somebody you're diagnosed at 22. I was very surprised. Say at 22 and son you say or your SS. Because wow, until any and share that, then you can come to the symptoms. Okay, so the traits. What is it? Who can marry who?
Who can marry who? Okay. So that is a very important thing for most people.
Okay.
And for health workers and for advocates, we can't necessarily impose on people what they are supposed to do. So the best thing we do is that we educate the public to make the right decisions and make the right choices. Okay. So ideally, if because in Africa, about 30% of the population have the trait. They
which
live
is
with
AS.
Which is AS, yes.
Wow.
So
30%
yes,
of the entire
between 15
African
to
population.
30% has the trait. And this mutation stems from the fact that we are endemic with malaria. So it's sort of the body's mechanism to withstand malaria.
Okay.
So that is why that mutation even stemmed or came about. But then for ideal relationships, yes.
Maybe a crashing kaka, I can't you, mama. Why? And you know the tree afra. I know some of it is quite technical,
sure.
but you from.
So for ideal relationships, say why no bit my way, why no bit my way, to avoid the whole incident of getting a child or SS. No, we advise that couples, at least if one is AA, they get married to someone who is AS, so that at least when they have children, you could have children who have the trait or children who are completely normal, in quotes. Yeah. But if someone is AS, another person is also AS. The thing is that we don't know how the body selects these genes. So you can't really decide for your body that because my husband or my fiancé is AS and I'm also AS, my body should select both A's so that in the end we become AA. You can't really decide that for your body.
We don't have that power.
Yes, you don't have that power.
Yeah.
Because there are people who take those chances. There are people who don't want to heed these advices because maybe their parents were both AS. In the end, all the children were also AS.
Yes.
So they couldn't be bothered.
Or could you get AA out of?
Oh, yes. Some could be AA.
All right.
But then also there's that chance where someone can be SS out of those two combinations. So is it a risk that you would want to take? Some people go ahead to take that risk, but we as advocates, and especially for people who live with sickle cell disease like myself, we advise that you don't go through it at all so that you prevent the incident in itself.
So you live with sickle cell disease?
Yes, I'm SC.
SC?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we'll come to that, the signs and symptoms, so that you can deal with, I know SS is the severe type, so we'll come to that. So that thing you just said, I need you to say it one more time. na yen chire mu ye because bebre say okay so I'm AA so can I marry SS? You know that thing. Inti chire mu ye na fe yemra signs and symptoms SC and SS.
Hey.
Okay. So for AA, that is what we consider as normal according to science. Because I don't know, hemoglobin, in shape, so in ideal station or according to how normally the hemoglobin should look like, a donut shaped.
Yes.
That's for the normal one. So until it assumes the shape of the sickle, that is when you have the sickle cell. So obi AA, that person is free born to choose any other variant. So they can marry another person who is AA, another person who is SS, another person who is AC, SC, any other thing. But then the moment the person has the variant,
Which
so
is the S.
So that's the mistake that people assume that sickle cell is only A, S, and then I think C. That's what people know. But then there are various, there's E, there's F, there are a whole lot, almost like a number of the alphabets. Yes, that is how the scientists name them. Yes, so anything that is not A is a variant of the normal. Yeah.
Anything that is not AA.
Yes, anything that's not A.
Yeah.
Because you could have A, you could be AC, you could be AS. Just that each one of them has its own complications. It's not assumed that if you are not A, you are sick. No, it's not that. But if you are focusing on the sickle cell, that is the S, then someone who is AS, we advise that if you are AS, you don't marry someone who is also AS. Or if you are AS, don't marry someone who is AC, because in the end, you could have the SC combination. Yes, those kind of combinations.
You are SC.
Yes.
And SS. Tell us the difference.
So, even for people who are AS, the thing is that for people who even carry the trait, there are people that I know, we have a community, a sickle cell community that Sickle Life has set up. And you realize that someone could even just be AS, which is just the trait, but they could have crisis.
Yes.
There are people
Somebody
who
called.
Yes.
Somebody called.
SC, completely fine. When I tell a number of people that I'm SC, they don't even believe it, because for the most part of my life, I know that I'm always completely fine. So,
But do you have a lifestyle that you live by?
I don't really
your dieting, whatever
think
do you
so.
have? Yeah.
Personally, I don't have any strict regimen that I go with.
Okay.
But then there are also people who are SS and they don't usually fall sick. It depends. These things, it's not only about the condition. There are a number of factors that even contribute to our health, because your environment, your food, the things you partake in, all these things, they influence the things that happen to you. Because something like diabetes, hypertension, all these conditions, they are there. But then you won't label someone who is just going about as hypertensive because the person's BP is high. You get it? Certain things still influence the fact that they could be living with hypertension, but it could have worse effects on them. Yes. So for SS and SC, based on the science, you realize that the mutation is different. But people consider that SC is a little less severe than SS.
Like a mild.
Yeah,
Is it
sort
true?
of.
Is it true?
I know she that shit.
Yes, a milder form of the SS. And one thing that I know is really particular about people who have SC is the issue with their eyes. I don't know how it comes about, but then for most people with SC, you realize that they, as compared to people who have SS, it's usually one of the effects is on their eyes. So one thing, or one of the symptoms or the effect of sickle cell disease is the fact that you have crisis. And one of these crises, yes, is the vaso-occlusive crisis. It is called vaso-occlusive because the blood vessels that carry blood to our various parts, no, because blood vessel na ye nketwa, and then the sickle shape no is not able to move properly through them. Sometimes a Jew baby are not akaho, so a kaho na, it means that blood is not able to flow to the end organ until then it causes the pain and those things. The same thing with our eyes. the same thing with the liver everywhere, because blood goes everywhere. So with the eyes, vessels need to. So in the end, you realize that they could have adverse effects with regards to their eyes. Yeah, I think that's one of the major differences that I've really realized.
So
Yeah, but then it is considered as the milder form.
So let's look at the symptoms. You spoke about the pain because of the inability of the sickle-shaped cell to go through the smaller veins. What else? And then take us through the complications that could come about if care is not taken.
Okay, so for I think one of the major thing is the pain.
The pain.
Yes, the pain, because like I said, the body is trying to get blood to baby. Then because blood no ain't mean quantity, ABI gets stuck in the legs, in the hip, in the eyes, anywhere. Usually it can be anywhere, but most people have something we call acute chest syndrome, but it is usually in children. It's because you don't even know the way about yet, yes, and your body is not fully developed to adapt to certain things. So you realize that they have chest pain, they will present with chest pain, cough, and these things. By the time the Obeba hospital, we will do the history, go through examination, ask for investigation, you realize that the person has sickle cell. In the same vein, especially in men, you could have something we call priapism. That is sexual erection without sexual stimulation, and it's very painful. It is really, really painful. So you realize
what
that.
can brofo obi o ha won ti ase or say priapism. Na che say sabi ubema no be sori agina so a oba bi ansuso omu anase wunya atenka bi anu agina so saa na nasem anu o kan say ya pa.
Oh yeah.
And so there's no more with men. I imagine and you like.
No, but we no agina so din pa o.
Like
Oh,
throughout the day.
and
Anytime.
oh, it's a serious thing now. I don't think that you can last you throughout the day. You see, one thing that is important for our body is pain.
Okay.
Without pain, you even realize that without pain, you will not even seek treatment. You get it. So I think the body has God is a marvelous God. So he always has a way. So pain is a way of telling us say bibi enkoye, so seek treatment. Okay. So priapism what mean now for 24 hours so there be. You can't last that long. It will definitely cause you to rush to the hospital, and when you come to the hospital, we have ways of going about it. So that is also one of the symptoms. So acute chest syndrome, the vaso-occlusive crisis that can happen, priapism, all these pains, and then you realize that especially in children, they could have something we call hand-foot syndrome. So when we say and like all this has to do with blood flow, because mojana kwa ababe tie honum na entimi enflow enko ebia kwa be hu se nefu edwa, but nefu no enye nefu because in stomach na ebia ayekese, but ye free we be sequestration crisis ye honam no one organ na a filter ye mojano ye friend spleen no ube hu se mojano bebre akwa ho nti eye kese ube hu one of the things so bit me hu ni say nipa nani aye yellow because red cells ni ye mojano every at least 3 months 120 days na I was say making new ones but because of the sickle cell disease it is breaking down regularly or more often than it should under normal circumstances. So in less than 3 weeks, be a break it down. And because bilirubin is also a component of blood cells, you realize more of it is coming out. The liver has to screen it, do all the things that it needs to do, but sometimes it gets overwhelmed. So one of the things is that you see nipa nani aye yellow. Nipa no looking very pale because ni mojano usually a form. There is a certain HB that you can't really say for everyone. Oba hospital and I say in the health sector there is a level that for everything we consider normal. Even our blood sugars, there's a level that is considered normal. Same for HB or blood level, the level that is considered normal. But then if someone has sickle cell, because of the regular breakdown of the RBCs, they get like anemic. But then there is a level that is stable for everyone. It will be 8, they are living fine. We are 10, they are just fine. So if we stable 10, then it comes down to 8. You see that in the end, no, it's affecting you. So palo be say nipa no oluki pale, like oluki more white than hoya than they should ideally. Ebia na kuma born tentem because of the anemia no. Yes. Because so one of the things is that infections are two-way. Infection with me precipitate crisis no, because say yare or say honam no find the way obe fight obekun yare no and to fight yare no so say moja na carry adena ebe kontokwa no moja na say eswako enti say enya kwan ankwa it means say yare na aba no e ma unya crisis no e na unya crisis no so because emoja no entimi nko na en fighting niementi then we as a immune system na aba form enti usually now yare need those things. But one thing I think say most people just assume say we was sickle cell disease just say ube wu ana say they be yare.
Coming back the complications because what can symptoms, mild ones, acute chest syndrome, the pain, anemia, and all of that. But it's a fact, statistical fact, I should say, that they bring complications.
So I'm SS no, and I'm that's like what's out there.
Okay, so and as it's some way true, some way false, because one thing they say, for the majority of babies that are born under 5 years, about 90% of them die before they turn 5 years. That is if they have sickle cell disease. So for babies that are born, yes, about 70 to 90 or 95% of them.
Sickle cell 90%. And to me, fan says, "I won't more fratena. I will sickle cell
between 7 to 9.
My 7 to 9. Ebe to me a one son when ya
5 years.
Now ube nyem na be fire mo abofra no. Na abofra ni 5 years na we free more.
But the caveat is say enye say obia bewu because they have the sickle cell disease. Mostly it's because ye hu nintem. And ye krom hana ye wo no. We don't have that avenue say ye wo wa obi wa we 50 years ne blood group kwa woni. Obi enyinia koju me ye sure so obi throughout the entire life cycle na obaye ye wo no a odi be 110 when hu ne blood group na odi wuye. So it's part of say ye hu nintem ne e ka ho bi, because there are several ways when you know early, even for every other ailment, when you know early.
Oh, can't say, but I was saying, me try no kakrebi for clarity's sake. What can blood group? Yeah, question I to be brainy say, Joy, me blood group ye A and me blood group ye O positive. If you am catch on said, and yeah, no ne sickle cell no. What can blood group? So one chile mu ye ya. Unim so be back say a blood group. And chile mu ye a blood group and a soon ye share sickle cell na and sana wa bania. Senebea nkofo benya wonti ase.
Okay. So blood group no you based on ABO system no you 8. So either say we A, we B, we AB, and now we O. But for each one of A, B or O no, it's either say we positive and I say negative. So we A positive, A negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, O negative. So we na. And a sickle cell no so you're different. Enti mimi wo me O negative. but me SC genotypically. The TN say ebi mu so wɔ hɔ a, I think one mistake among for year ni say ɔmo kɔ hospital na ɔmo check ɔmo sickling status. There is a sickling status. Any old BB it goes further a friend electrophoresis. Sickling status ne say waba yatwe moja ebia capillary we yatwe kakra ye de egu slide so ye de nsuo bi asoso na yahwe no microscope ase say o shape no or red cells ni shape no e donut na say sickle way no. Some people end it there, but that is not where you should end. So that one the results they say positive or negative. But the thing is that just because you are negative, and don't just say we are A. The mistake people make and they say because say omokoye sickling test. Okoye sickling test na you can say oye negative, they automatically assume say they are AA.
That was the mistake my husband made. So thank you for saying that.
Yes.
You can't say negative now, or say yes, me AA. And then later we found out say he was actually AS.
So that means you have to go for advanced testing.
Yes.
And,
so which is say you be who say we AA, AS, AC variants na make no. And I make say because say most of year test around here no is looking for the S. So AC it will still come as negative. What you are saying. But we electrophoresis na in be me who say we AC. And he say only obi o AS. Asia mbetimi awo S.
And to say so be person will check here on say okoye electrophoresis.
Yes.
And I say so when to me anka electrophoresis no onka so person who ni sickle cell ye pa. And then we call hospital be a which room I better say.
Yes.
And you be an betumi anka electrophoresis. Into I will say who person who sickle cell mu ye pa.
But no more will go through that process and they equipped to tell you say yeah this is maybe the first step and you could go to an advanced testing.
So it depends. It depends. Say, obi or they will work in by themselves. To say or hospital lab, obi ba or person who is sickling status. But if say doctor na or baby who doctor na say doctor ne request form nama for the lab. If the doctor is suspecting say sickle cell, he will not write say ko check sickling status. Or better say the one na on be who say o genotype no ye AA, AS, we AC, we SC, SS.
But doctor
Doctor,
genotype is a right way of actually going to the lab to say me person me who me genotype.
Because I me pay bibia e be easy ama obi aso wo bekan. And to who call hospital ka say o person who genotype.
Yes.
Me see idea.
Genotype.
But okay, we say yeah, doctor ne be to me who suspect it. How does the doctor suspect that you are? Are there some signs around you that shows say
so, say the mechanic earlier say ebia obi aba o hwe ebia nani yellow u take history na say u bisa no niema asisi ansa na oba na ebia o ga say ebia odwunso ehun say na edwunso na ebia eni yetuntum kakra ebia ohun say ebia awoba bebra ni ntimu ni pomuntini ye anase say be okọ bebia hoye shipia anase show den pa ase ne hu sisi ne hu su ye. All these things ne be ma doctor ne high index of suspicion until bit my requesting near my obi so wo no at me working because I have several people on my WhatsApp or like in real life maybe or share me because they know that I usually talk about sickle cell no they say oh me per se me who me status so no make actually say oh any okwa bisa say genotype because I have friends at Omako hospital if you acquire any sickling status then they send me the lab and I'm gonna say oh Debbie sickling status is not enough either say you catch us or you're positive and I say negative no enough so go to the hospital or go to any lab that is available na catch yourself person genotype and no never me who say oh yeah AA, SS, SC or those things no. And I wanted to go back to something I was talking about because it's very important to me about the whole issue of death no. Say I mentioned say most children no they don't survive because say we don't know.
Okay.
Yes. Because if we knew we would have taken steps to ensure say all the things that can happen no we don't make it happen.
Yes.
Yes. And see, it's not necessarily say, oh, Yarena is a death sentence. No. I know a lot of people who have lived over 80 with sickle cell disease.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
There are a lot of people pursuing their dreams, doing marvelous things and still living with sickle cell disease.
You are an example.
Oh, yes. I'm a very proud example.
Very proud
A proud example.
I met a number of doctors who were SS.
I mentioned that I work with Sickle Life.
Okay, yes.
Sickle Life, no, Dr. Enam Bankers. She's SC. Uba Hospital Hematology Department. Very nice woman. Well, who now? We say yes. But there are people who don't have sickle cell, but they don't even look like her. So it doesn't necessarily mean because you have the condition in Appiah is a death sentence any no.
Idea back when we hear me kesi panis will be share neba SS and I say SC and I say a catch and so about sickle cell and I saw penny be onini. What are some of the things that was said and I know maybe it was said send a buami and check come on.
So I think one of the things that are very important is because say no emma anemia as a emma moja na ekɔ form no ade ba kwa was of any say we didi mu obehwe ni yie niema aduane a obetimi adi a ebetimi improve wo moja levels no eno green leafy vegetables ni sa niema nyina o say udi lettuce spinach kontomire de Ghana for nyina ya o dada o say udi sa nnuane no se de be ya o blood levels no e be kɔ show. And I say, your culture also say, oba or sickle cell. I think one of the most important things that parents don't do is say, sickle cell clinic. For a number of hospitals, we have sickle cell clinic. So it's dedicated to sickle cell. I think one thing that is also important for everything, every condition, even in normal human settings, is support system. When you know that there are other people like you, it helps you say you learn from other people, you adopt new things so that you can cope.
Okay.
And to say I catch yourself oba or sickle cell disease. It was called the sickle cell clinic. When you go to the sickle cell clinic, usually they have dedicated doctors. Say Appiah, me doctor di into oba every time this doctor that you see. They will have your history, everything. And even if the doctor should change that, they will know say this person has lived with the condition for 20 years. These are the drugs that work for them. These are the things that do not work for them. Yeah. Because sometimes it's individualized. It's not everything that is all fits all. And one thing is Obeko Sickle Cell Clinic, very important. Then because you say extreme conditions, a precipitating crisis, you make sure say you don't do things that will put you in that condition. Into extremely cold temperature. And I make a support group, for instance. When the weather, we know, say, at certain points when the weather is really cold, you see on the group page, say, oh, our people, you know how the weather is nowadays. Make sure to keep warm.
Okay.
Like we remind ourselves, make sure you carry a cardigan, these things, so that you avoid the whole situation.
All right.
Dehydration is one of the things that it precipitates the crisis. And see, also no fruits like udi indiania ebema unsuo obenu munsuo fruits watermelon is ania mana ebema o levels na kwasho because moja no in the end it say nsuo.
Yebra no. Ye nyanke beto aso.
You need to come back there.
Ni ayesu am gidi si esu ani amafa me pese me to ma o. Eni say kase ope wo genotype. Hospital be also between a hospital be lab wo lab papa ana lab papa bia because lab ni be correct lab papa bia no aka say person who genotype afen so or say no munsuo bebre
watermelon bebre
Dr. Doreen ya dasio onyankopon hira na abesan aba ya nwie enti wo besan aba kwesi.
All right.